I met Linda when I was 26. She was standing behind the counter of a small diner on the edge of town, pouring coffee like it was a kind of religion. Her laugh carried through the room, soft but certain. Back then, I didn't have much. Just an old Chevy, a small apartment, and a job that barely paid for gas. But when she looked at me, I felt like a man who finally mattered. We married 2 years later. No fancy ceremony, no expensive rings. Just her, me, a few close friends, and a promise we made each other that love was enough. For a long time, I worked construction, long hours, sun up to sundown. She took care of the home, and when our first son was born, she quit her job to raise him. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Every night, I'd come home to the smell of her cooking, and the sound of our boys' laughter echoing down the hall. We didn't have much money, but somehow, happiness made us feel rich. Years passed. 1 turned into 5, then 10, then 30. We buried friends, raised our kids, paid off our mortgage. I thought we had made it, the kind of marriage that survives the storms. But time changes people. And sometimes it does it so slowly, you don't even notice until the person lying next to you feels like a stranger. It started with small things. She began staying up later, saying she couldn't sleep. Her phone was always face down. When I'd ask her she was texting, she'd laugh and say, "Oh, it's just Susan from church." Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. I told myself not to worry. After all, we'd been through so much together. Sickness, debt, losing my father. Why would she betray me now? But that's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't always walk through the door. Sometimes it seeps through the cracks, in the silence between two people who stop talking, in the way eyes avoid each other over breakfast, in the smiles that feel rehearsed. I remember one night. It was our 31st anniversary. I had bought her a silver bracelet. Nothing fancy, just something small to remind her the years we'd shared. She smiled when she opened it, but her eyes were somewhere else. We ate dinner in silence. When I went to bed, she said she had work to finish and study. I woke up at 2 a.m. and found her asleep on the couch, her phone clutched to her chest. The screen lit up, a message from a name I didn't recognize. Just one word. Good night, red heart. I didn't confront her then. I told myself there had to be an explanation. There always is, right? But deep down, something inside me started to die that night. The part that trusted without question. Over the next few months, she grew distant. She stopped caring about the little things that used to matter. Our evening walks, Sunday breakfasts, the way she'd always kiss my cheek before I left for work. Even the house felt colder. It's strange how love can fill a place so completely. And when it's gone, the silence echoes louder than any sound. One evening, I came home early from a job site. The house was empty, but her car was in the driveway. I called her name, no answer. The shower was running upstairs, but when I opened the bedroom door, I saw her phone on the dresser, unlocked. A message thread was open. I shouldn't have looked, but something made me. The first message I saw read, "I wish I could have seen you today. I miss you already." And her reply, "Me too, babe. Soon." That single word, babe, hit me like a hammer. I stood there staring at the screen, the sound of running water in the bathroom drowning out the noise in my head. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just felt empty, like someone had quietly reached inside and taken something I didn't even know I still had. I put the phone back exactly as I found it and went downstairs, made myself a cup of coffee, sat in the dark for hours. When she came down, wrapped in a towel, smiling, asking if I was okay, I just said I couldn't sleep. She kissed my forehead like everything was fine, and I let her. That night, I realized something that changed me forever. When you've shared a life with someone for decades, betrayal isn't just about infidelity. It's about the death of belief. The belief that you matter more than convenience, more than temptation, more than a passing thrill. I went to work the next morning, and no one knew. No one could tell that inside I was breaking piece by piece. Because that's what men like me do. We keep it together. We build walls, pour concrete, lift weight we shouldn't have to, both at work and in life. But every wall cracks eventually, even the strongest ones. And mine was about to crumble. After that night, everything changed, though I didn't let her see it. She still smiled at me in the mornings, still made coffee, still called me Han. But every word she said sounded rehearsed, like a line from a play she no longer believed in. I didn't confront her. Not yet, because I realized something. When a woman cheats, she's already written her story. If I want to know how it ended, I needed to read every page. Quietly. So I waited, watched, listened. I started noticing small things. A perfume I didn't recognize. Clothes folded differently in her drawers. Her phone never left her hand, even when she went to the bathroom. Once, I caught her smiling at her screen, that soft, private kind of smile she used to give me when we first fell in love. It hurt, not like a knife, more like a slow bleed that never stops. I became a detective in my own home. I told myself it wasn't spying, it was survival. I started checking our phone bill, scrolling through the call logs. One number appeared almost every night around 11 p.m. I wrote it down, memorized it. Didn't call it, not yet. Patience is a tool. I learned that after 30 years of hard labor and broken promises from bosses and life alike, one evening, she said she was meeting her friend Susan for dinner. I nodded, smiled, even helped her pick out a dress. She kissed my cheek on the way out, and I swear I could still feel that lipstick mark burning long after she was gone. I waited 20 minutes, then got in my truck. Her friend's dinner was at a restaurant across town, or so she said. I parked 2 blocks away and waited. When her car finally pulled up, I watched as she got out, and a man stepped out from the passenger side. He wasn't young, maybe mid-50s, clean-shaven, dressed too well for our side of town. They didn't go inside. They just stood by her car, talking. Then she reached up and kissed him. That image burned itself into me. It wasn't rage I felt. It wasn't even shock. It was worse. A hollow kind of sadness that makes you realize how much of your life was a lie. I drove home, sat in the garage with the engine off, staring at the steering wheel until my hands stopped shaking. By the time she returned, I had already changed. Something inside me had gone still, like a pond right before winter freezes over. When she came in, I smiled, asked how dinner was. She said it was nice, but the service was slow. I said, "You should take me there sometime." She smiled, that same fake, empty smile, and said, "Sure, maybe next week." That night, I lay awake beside her, listening to her soft breathing, thinking about every year, every laugh, every shared dream. And I realized I didn't just lose a wife. I lost a story I thought I was living. But I wasn't going to explode. I wasn't going to scream or break things or beg for answers. Men like me don't beg. We build. And I was about to build something she'd never forget. The next day, I went through her attic, found our old photo albums, the ones she loved showing guests, the story of our marriage, page after page of smiles, kids, vacations, anniversaries. I started pulling out certain pictures, ones where she looked happiest, ones where I knew exactly what year it was, what we were doing, what I was sacrificing to give her that life. I wasn't sure why I was doing it yet, but somewhere deep down, I knew this was going to be part of my revenge. Then I printed a few of the messages I'd found on her phone, screenshots I'd secretly taken when she left it charging one morning. There were plenty. Can't stop thinking about you. You make me feel alive again. Wish I could fall asleep in your arms. And her replies. God, her replies. Soon, baby. He suspects nothing. That line cut through me more than any knife could. He suspects nothing. She was right. I hadn't, because love blinds you in ways nothing else can. I made a folder. I called it proof. Then I waited. A week later, she told me our kids wanted to have a big family dinner at our house. Our eldest, Michael, had just gotten a promotion. The grandkids would come too. I said it was a great idea. In fact, I offered to cook. The night before, she told me she had a late meeting. She came home past midnight. When she slipped into bed, I could smell his cologne on her hair. I didn't move, didn't say a word, just lay there in the dark, planning. Every great betrayal deserves a witness, and I was going to give her a stage. That week, I bought a small digital photo frame, one of those that cycles through pictures like a slideshow. I loaded it with images, family vacations, our wedding, her holding our babies, and between them, the screenshots. Every few happy photos, a text message appeared. Soon, baby. He suspects nothing. Last night was perfect. I set the frame on the dining table, right in the center. No one would notice right away, not until it started cycling through. The next evening, she wore her favorite blue dress, the one I bought her for our 25th anniversary. She looked beautiful. Older, yes, but still the woman I once would have given my life for. The kids came, the grandkids laughed, and for a while, it almost felt normal again. But under the laughter, I felt the tension, the storm waiting to break. When everyone sat down, I turned on the photo frame. It started with the wedding pictures, just like I planned. Linda smiled. "Oh, honey, that's so sweet," she said. Everyone laughed and pointed. "Look how young Dad looked. Mom, you were gorgeous." I said nothing, just watched, because I knew what was coming. The laughter around the table was warm at first, that kind of noise you only get from family. The clinking of silverware, the stories overlapping, the grandkids running around the living room. Linda was glowing, playing a perfect hostess. She poured wine, passed the mashed potatoes, smiled like she didn't have a secret burning inside her chest. And I sat across from her, watching every move she made. The slideshow kept playing on the small digital frame I'd placed right in the center of the table. At first, it was harmless. Our wedding photo, our first house, her holding Michael when he was a baby, a trip to the mountains. Then, a text message flickered on the screen. "Can't stop thinking about you." It stayed for only a few seconds before the next photo appeared, our 20th anniversary dinner. Nobody noticed at first. Then another message. "You make me feel alive again." I saw it in her eyes when she realized what she was looking at. Her smile froze. Her hand gripped the edge of the table. Our daughter-in-law leaned closer. "What was that?" she asked. Linda stammered. "Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's a glitch." I kept my voice steady. "No, not a glitch. Just memories." I raised my glass, smiled at her. After all, isn't that what family dinners are for? Another photo, her with the kids. Then another message. "Soon, baby. He suspects nothing." The room went silent. Michael turned to me, confused. "Dad, what is this?" I leaned back in my chair. "It's a timeline, son. The story of your mother and me." I thought it was time everyone saw the whole thing. Linda's face went pale. She reached across the table to grab the frame, but I got there first. I picked it up, held it high for everyone to see. The next message appeared. Last night was perfect. And then a photo, the two of us, smiling at our 30th anniversary dinner. I looked her in the eyes. That was the same night, wasn't it? No one spoke. The grandkids had gone quiet. Our daughter-in-law put her hand over her mouth. Linda whispered, "Please, not here." Her voice was shaking. I said, "Where else, Linda? In private? The way you did it? Behind locked doors and sweet words." Tears started running down her face. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "It was a mistake." "A mistake?" I repeated. I set the frame back on the table. "Mistakes are spilling coffee or forgetting an anniversary. What you did," I paused, trying to keep my voice from breaking, "was a choice." I turned to our kids, my hands trembling, but I kept going. "You all deserve to know what kind of love I built this family on. What kind of vows I kept while she forgot hers." Linda covered her face. Sobbing, Michael stood, unsure whether to defend her or me. I didn't want him to hate her, but I couldn't let her keep pretending. "I gave your mother everything I had," I said quietly. 30 years of loyalty, sacrifice, patience. I built this home with my hands. I buried my father, held her through her sickness, worked double shifts to pay for this life. I thought I was building something unbreakable. Then I looked right at her. But I guess love only lasts when both people hold it up. No one spoke for a long time. The only sound was the hum of the frame, still flicking through images, happier times that no longer meant anything. I stood up. Dinner's over. I walked to the front door, grabbed my jacket, and left before anyone could stop me. Outside, the night was quiet. The air smelled like rain. I sat in my truck, hands shaking, heart heavy, staring at the house I had once called my world. Through the window, I could still see the dining room. The frame was glowing on the table, like a little box of truth that couldn't be shut off. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel victory. Revenge, it turns out, doesn't taste sweet. It tastes like ashes, dry and bitter. But it was necessary, because now, at least, the lies had nowhere left to hide. I drove that night, without knowing where I was going. Ended up at the old diner, the same one where I first met her. It was closed, but I sat outside, watching the lights flicker inside. I remembered that young woman behind the counter, the one who laughed easily, who said she'd never hurt me. I realized she'd been gone a long time. I just hadn't wanted to admit it. The next morning, I packed a small bag, left a note on the kitchen table. You broke something that can't be fixed. Take the house. Take everything. But you'll never take back what you did to my heart. I signed it simply, the man who kept his vows. Then I left. I didn't slam the door. I didn't look back, because some endings don't need noise. Sometimes silence is the loudest goodbye there is. It's been a year since that night. I live alone now, in a small cabin near the lake. I fish in the mornings, read in the evenings. Sometimes I think about her, not with anger anymore, but with the kind of sadness that comes from knowing you can't unlove someone, even when they've destroyed everything you believed in. People ask if I ever regret what I did that night. I don't, because truth, no matter how painful, is better than living in a lie. And as I watch the sunset paint the water gold, I remind myself, I may have lost a wife, but I found something better, my peace,